Hey, Bradley, have you ever done Google entity stacks? Oh my God. You must be new to semantic mastery. Yes, we actually launched the first version of Google Stacks before they were Google Stacks. It's called RYS Academy. We launched that in 2015. That was where they were born. So yes, we've used them. We pioneered that. My former partner Marco Benavides, who's now with Rob Beal over at the Heavy Hitter Club, he was the one that kind of developed. He was a partner of ours at Semantic Mastery. He developed the RYS, what we called RYS Academy, stood for Rank Your Shit Academy. It was using Google Drive and G sites to rank, and I still use that today. It's still a foundational part of my local ranking methods. All I focus on is local SEO, and Google Stacks are G sites and Drive stacks are absolutely still a part of my method. They are primary tier one, primary branded tier one assets. Integral, critical part of what I do is Google Sites and Drive stacks. So absolutely. Says, how do you go about structuring it for GMB rankings? I've been pointing all the entities to the Google site, and then the Google site points to the CID. Pointing all of the Drive stack properties to the Google site is good, but then use the Google site. I don't like to build a lot of links to the CID URL, guys, because only SEOs do that. It's better to do embeds, which isn't the CID URL. It's different. But what I suggest you do is a Google Map embed on the G site, which you probably already have. And then also embed, here's the thing, for Google Business profiles, right? Guys, use the Google Business website. So that's on the .business.site domain, right? So whatever subdomain you give it, .business.site. That's the free Google Business website. It's essentially a one-page free website that they give you. It's a landing page, but it's a Google asset. And I use this as an example for my link building clients, that you got to think about the Google Business website as a bridge between your money site and your Google Map, because they're connected. Especially if you do it like what I teach, which is if you can get an appointment URL in your Google Business profile, if there's a field for an appointment URL in the info tab of your Google Business profile, and you plug in your money site URL there, then that becomes the make appointment button on a Google Business website, which is a do follow link, which is present on the homepage of that Google Business site, as well as any of the posts. Every time you publish a Google Business post, it publishes like a blog post does on the Google Business website. And every one of those posts, when you click on the post from the Google Business website, it opens up as an inner page of that .business.site address. Does that make sense? So it's an inner page of the Google Business website that has that make appointment button URL, which is a do follow link from a Google asset. So, and even if you don't have an appointment URL field in your Google Business profile, in the Google Business website settings, where you can edit the text and everything else, you can add the call to action button at the top of that site. Can be phone call, request a quote. There's a number of different things that you can select from there. But there's a make appointment selection that you can put your money site URL in. So you can still, even if you don't have an make appointment field in your info tab of your profile, you can still add that as a do follow link to your Google Business website, right? But that's not it, right? That's not the only thing. If it's a storefront business or a service area business where you're displaying your address, if you look at a Google Business website, at the bottom, there's a map there. It's not the same as the Google Business map. Like, in other words, it's not the Google Business profile map, but it is a map. So there's a connection there between the Google Business website and the map, the physical location. Does that make sense? And you're linking from the GB website to your money site. Okay, so that's the bridge between the two. And and then the other part of that is, publish a well-tuned article. Treat it like a money site, guys. It's a tier 0 asset, right? There's 3 tier 0 assets: the money site, the Google Business website, and the Google Map. Those are the 3 tier 0 assets. A G site and a Drive stack are tier 1 assets, branded tier 1 assets. But the 3 tier 0 assets are those. Those are like the golden frame, right? Those are your epicenter. Those are your ground zero, right? That's Google money site, Google Business website, Google Map. So those 3 things are the most important. And that Google Business website ties the money site and the map together. So you publish tuned content on there. I believe it can take, I think it's close to 2,500 words. So you can have a really well-tuned article on there, which is what, we recommend. And then also linking out from that article that you publish on that landing page for the GB website, link out to all of your branded tier one assets, everything. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube channel, a press advantage organization page. If you follow Semantic Mastery, you probably got one of those. An ID page. If you understand local business schema, you should have an ID page, which generally hosted on Amazon S3. It's just an HTML page hosted on Amazon S3. Cloud stack pages like what Jesper teaches, your syndication network properties. So WordPress, Tumblr, Blogger, all of those types of assets, you link out with brand anchors or topic and or target anchors. So that's, target anchor would be keyword plus location modifier. Topic anchor would be keyword only. You link out to your branded tier one assets with contextual links on the Google Business website out to your branded assets. And the visual that I like to kind of convey to my link building clients is, if you consider your money site on the left or whatever, your money site here and your Google Map here and your Google Business website is a bridge between the two. Now they're linking out to your branded tier one assets using contextual links with brand anchors, topic and or target anchors are the link to those branded assets are like suspension cables holding the bridge up, right? So you get that visual in your mind. You got a bridge, money site, Google Map, your bridge is the Google Business website, and the suspension cables are the links that are linking out to all your different branded assets. And what that does is it's creating an association between your branded assets. So nodes within your knowledge graph, the entity or brand knowledge graph. You're helping Google to understand the entity. You solidify or validate the entity, and you're making those associations through a very powerful Google asset. So that Google starts to understand the relationships and associations between those, and it basically increases your entity footprint, if that makes sense, which is a good thing. Very, very powerful. Again, yes, so going back to the original question, I know that was a long-winded answer, but back to Rami's question about pointing it to the CID map. No, what I recommend that you do is a Google Map embed on the Google site, right? So the G site, Google Map embed, also embed the Google Business website, just like I just mentioned. Once you've optimized it, you've linked out to all those branded assets. Now you embed that as well. You can also link to that because you get a do follow link from Google G sites when it's linking to another Google property. So when you're linking to the .business.site, it's a straight link to that site with no redirect. Like, I don't know if you know this, but if you link out to something that's not a Google asset from the G site, it puts a redirect in between. It's not an actual like direct link. So it's not really a follow link, but that you can get kind of around that using embeds. That's why we do that. So I would recommend linking to your money site or embedding your money site is actually better in the G site. Do an embed. I usually put that right up at the top, just below the page header or title. I usually do an embed with the money site, then embed and link to your Google Business website, and then embed your Google Map, right? Those are all really important things to do that's how I do it for my G stacks and my drive stacks and G site, right? So the stack points to the G site then embeds and or links to all of my other primary tier 0 assets, right? Does that make sense? So you should come join the mastermind. That's a great question. And I love talking about that stuff.